Hello everyone and welcome to another Tempo Storm Wild Meta video. Wild is one of the most fun and rewarding game modes in Hearthstone, but since it covers the entire scope of Hearthstone's history, it can seem a little intimidating to get into. One of the most common questions we see is, how do I get started in Wild? Fortunately, for most Hearthstone players, it's not hard at all to start playing Wild and climbing ladder after just a little bit of research and planning. Let's take a closer look at how to get a competitive start in exploring Hearthstone's eternal format and how to find a Wild deck that's right for you. Before we begin, be sure to subscribe to the Tempo Storm Hearthstone channel to keep up to date with our Hearthstone content. So how do we get started? Well, if you've been playing Hearthstone's standard format, you're already on your way there. Standard decks work in Wild as well, and your standard collection will already have a ton of staple cards from the classic and basic sets, as well as strong cards from the Year of the Dragon and Year of the Raven that see plenty of play in Wild. Many players are in the habit of dusting cards after they rotate to Wild every year, but if you keep those cards instead, it makes it much easier to transition to Wild. Beyond that, there are a handful of neutral and class staples that form the core of Wild's most successful archetypes that you'll need to pick up along the way. When it comes to acquiring cards, even though Wild packs are now available for purchase in store, we don't recommend going out of your way to purchase them since it's hard to pull specific cards from packs. Not every Wild card sees play, so it's better to buy packs from modern sets and use your extra dust to craft whatever Wild specific cards you need as you need them. If you want to spend real money on Wild exclusive content, the original adventures are the best value since you're guaranteed to get many high impact legendaries and other staples as you complete them. However you plan to build your collection, when you build your first Wild deck, you'll want to start by choosing a strong deck that suits your playstyle and includes a solid foundation of staple neutral and class cards. If you focus on building around staples, you'll have the means to move on to other decks that feature those staples in the future. Let's take a closer look at the best staple cards to get started. First off, if you want to build an aggro deck that goes for the throat, you'll want to check out the Pirate engine formed around Patches the Pirate and Ship's Cannon. The Pirate package is at the heart of aggro decks from Pirate Warrior to Apothecary Rogue and is a powerful way to establish board presence quickly in decks like Odd Paladin and Odd Rogue. Decks with the Pirate package are generally straightforward and tend to finish games quickly, so if you prefer aggressive strategies that take a direct approach, Patches & Company are high priority crafts. Baku the Moon Eater and Genn Greymane are another set of crucial crafts, and they're at the heart of some of the strongest competitive decks in Wild. Baku and Genn's consistency was so powerful, they were moved to Wild ahead of schedule through the Hall of Fame, and they continue to make waves just like they did in Standard. In Wild, their upgraded hero powers fuel a constant stream of tokens in Odd Paladin and board-dominating weapons in Odd Rogue, as well as the steady flow of cards in Even Warlock and totems in Even Shaman. If you prefer decks that dominate the board and have consistent access to resources every turn, crafting Baku and Genn is the first place to start. What about control decks and combo decks? Fortunately, if you prefer slower decks with intricate combos, the Highlander package built around Reno Jackson, Kazakis, and Zephrys the Great is the best place to start. Reno Quest Mage is arguably the strongest combo deck in Wild, and Reno Warlock the strongest control deck, and both of them feature the same powerful Highlander package. While it is true that Highlander decks tend to be the most dust intensive, most of the cards you would craft for a Highlander deck tend to fit in other decks as well, so they're excellent long-term investments. What's more, since the Highlander package is so versatile, Highlander decks offer lots of opportunities to be creative while remaining competitive. If you prefer longer games, nuanced gameplay, and creative deck building, Reno Jackson and Company are the best way to go. What if you prefer to build decks around your favorite class? Fortunately, each class has its own suite of class staples that form the backbone of their competitive decks. For instance, Warlock has cards like Defile, Plague of Flames, Voidcaller, and Voidlord that fit into a variety of decks, from Mechathune Warlock to Reno Warlock. Mage is another excellent example, with cards like Ice Block, Primordial Glyph, and Arcanologist seeing play in decks like Secret Mage and Reno Mage, and this is true for the other classes as well. Whether you're building to suit your favorite style of deck or your favorite class, you want to do your research on which decks are at the top of the meta and which cards those decks have in common. The Tempo Storm Wild Meta Snapshot is one of the best resources for finding competitive deck lists, so make it your first stop when you research which deck you want to start with. We've drawn a roadmap for getting started in Wild and finding the right deck, so let's recap. First, keep your collection intact after each standard rotation, and when you make purchases, prioritize packs from modern sets and adventures for guaranteed legendaries. Next, consider your playstyle and what kind of deck you want to build, whether it's aggro, control, combo, or something more class-specific. Then, research strong decks that fit your playstyle or preferred class, and make it a priority to craft core staple cards first. As your collection grows, you'll be able to use these cards to build multiple decks. Before you know it, you'll have a flexible and competitive collection that can carry you to Legend and beyond. With these tips, you can fully explore the Wild format while making the most of your dust. TempoStorm's Wild Hearthstone resources keep you up to date on the state of the Wild meta, so be sure to subscribe to the TempoStorm Hearthstone YouTube channel to stay current with our content. Let us know in the comments if this guide was helpful and what content you'd like us to feature next. Thanks for watching!